Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Links and this is Links Art. In this channel, I give you tips, tricks, techniques to get your artworks done in no time. So if you're one in the group, make sure to click the subscribe button, ring all the bells so you don't miss any of my tutorials when I release them. I know definitely I look like an elf, but that is not a problem to solve here. Maybe you are a beginner or you want to start a new drawing. This tutorial is designed to help you conclude on which medium to use, either charcoal or graphite pencil, and as well when to use charcoal or graphite pencil in your drawings. Rather than paying attention to my elf-like look, let's tighten our charcoal and graphite belts and bust that myth. So guys, welcome back. This is a fight to the finish. We are going to be comparing these two mediums and I'm going to leave you to decide on which medium wins or which medium takes the first place in that piece of art you want to make. When it comes to graphite and charcoal, it's much of a competition in the sense that at one point where you notice that graphite doesn't do well, charcoal takes over, and at some point where you notice that charcoal doesn't do well, graphite definitely takes over. So these two always go head on at every point in time. Now the basic forms of graphite and charcoal you will see are charcoal pencils like this and blocks you get from your pencil set if at all you get any. These are woodland charcoal blocks, ideal for large areas when you're drawing, and same thing to graphite as well, ranging from soft to the hardest. Now these two mediums are commonly carbon based, but funny thing, they hardly mix together. I get a lot of persons saying you can't mix charcoal and graphite together. A lot of artists out there make charcoal and graphite. If you think that is impossible, there's a link in the description that leads you to a video that explains how you can make charcoal and graphite, so make sure to watch that video if you really want to know how to make charcoal and graphite. So now let's get head on with these two. The first thing you want to know with regards to charcoal and graphite, starting with graphite, is that always have in mind that you are going to have slight reflections and shininess in your artwork when you draw with it, and it can get shinier when you try to press in on the paper to create very dark values with it. That is one thing a lot of persons don't like. Now if you are okay with that, you are good to go with graphite. You may not be able to see the reflection when it's not against the light, but when you try to tilt the paper, you tend to see the reflections it creates. The lighter it gets, the less reflective it becomes. The darker it becomes, the more shinier it gets. So that is one thing you should notice or have in mind when you make use of graphite for your drawing. With regards to this reflection, a lot of persons don't like it because the finished work tends to reflect and most of the darkest value tend to appear a little bit gray. That can be a little bit of a problem when you want to take a photograph of that beautiful artwork you have. It doesn't always allow you visualize the beauty of the artwork you've created, because when it comes to pencil art, depth can really be amazing in your drawing. That is where charcoal comes in. Charcoal will never reflect no matter how light it gets or no matter how dark charcoal becomes. So let me tilt this and show you. As you can see here, you notice that your graphite is reflecting, whereas your charcoal over here will never reflect. So if that is something you don't like, you might want to consider using your charcoal for that piece of artwork you are doing. So now moving on to the next, when it comes to your graphite with regards to depth and value, when you try to use graphite to get those complete dark values as you would with your charcoal, it tends to appear a little bit silver-like in nature and reflect just like a mirror. So most times it prevents you from seeing that complete black area. Like as we mentioned previously, I can look at this from any angle and I'm still going to see the exact values. So if that is something you love, you might still want to stick with your charcoal pencil as it gives you that rich black depth you need for your artwork. So now another reason why you might want to use charcoal for your drawing when it comes to creating a monochrome art is with regards to speed. I'm not trying to say you can't use graphite pencil to make big works. Definitely you can use it for that purpose, but charcoal pencil is a lot more faster when you try to use it to cover bigger grounds than using graphite to cover larger areas. It gets a lot more easier when you are using charcoal blocks to get those areas shaded and completely covered. When it comes to production, they have very big sizes and raw charcoal sticks, although graphite as well have big ones, but charcoal can give you those lines and those depths in seconds, whereas your graphite pencil will need a lot more layering on the paper to go very dark. You need to layer as much as possible before it gets to the point you want it. And if you press on the paper too hard, it's definitely going to reflect. Now, as you can see, I haven't pressed too much, but you can see how reflective this gets on the paper. So I can quickly fill up this whole area with the charcoal block in space of seconds, but with this guy I really need to layer on and on to get things covered. So that is another reason why you might want to use charcoal when it comes to drawing. I think we've been hitting too much on graphite. Let's switch our attention to charcoal pencil and making graphite a good guy here. The first thing you want to have in mind with regards to this guy when you are drawing, it might really be good with regards to dark values. It does not reflect and it's very good for big works. Comparing this to graphite, when it comes to blendability or being able to blend, it's a lot more easier to blend graphite rather than blending charcoal. This doesn't mean you can blend charcoal. All I'm saying is that it's a little bit difficult to blend charcoal than blending graphite. So there is a little bit of learning curve with regards to blending charcoal, but with graphite you can easily blend. That is one advantage graphite has over charcoal. The ease with regards to making your artwork comes to play. So most beginners artists, because of this problem, tend to use graphite a lot. Now before I move on, if you really want to use charcoal pencil but you find it very hard to blend charcoal, I have a video in the description that explains how you can easily blend charcoal, so make sure to check that video out in the description. Moving to the next is smudging. Now I'm going to layer charcoal here. Obviously we can see that this is charcoal and this is graphite. When it comes to charcoal, charcoal smudges a lot, just as you can see here when you are making artworks with it. If you are not careful with regards to the way you place your hand on your paper, you can easily use that hand that you've used to smudge the paper, or you've used to touch those particles of charcoal on the paper to rub other areas, and the entire artwork can appear a lot messy. Now I just kind of clean my hand, it's not really that clean, but when it comes to graphite, graphite doesn't really smudge like the way we have charcoal here. So you can easily work with graphite on your artwork and your paper might appear a lot more neat. While you are blending, the particles can really smear out to the paper, and sometimes those particles can move to other areas and tend to litter the whole paper. Your graphite smudges as well, but it doesn't smudge as your charcoal will do. For most beginners, they find it very hard to work with charcoal because it tends to appear messy when you are working with it. If that is a problem, there's a video in the description titled how to use charcoal pencil. That video is going to help you keep your paper neat while working with charcoal pencil. So you can do well to watch that video to know how to keep your paper neat and not trying to avoid using charcoal pencil because it gets things messy. So guys, now moving to the next is the stickiness of charcoal. I added more layers to this, so if we want to pick which one should stick more here, should be the graphite, but it's definitely not going to appear that way. Now when comparing these two, charcoal can be very sticky to paper rather than graphite. So if I should take my eraser and I try to erase this, watch what happens. You see how clean this gets? When I try to do this over here, now I'm trying to move my hand over and over again. See what happens? It's very clear. The charcoal has stuck to the paper. No matter how you erase this, it's never going to be as clean as when you have graphite on your paper. You see, just once appears to be more clean than this one. I try to go more than once. Now with the charcoal, I try to go more than once, but on graphite, you can just move once and then it is done. The more I clean, I think the better this is going to look. So I went twice on each of this. I can't even remember how often I erased this, but you can see the difference. Charcoal gets a little bit of a learning curve to understand it, and graphite tends to be a little bit easy when used to draw. So a lot of beginners tend to use graphite for their drawing rather than using charcoal for their drawing. The two mediums are not bad. Like as I mentioned, they tend to complement each other. There are other things that set these two mediums apart, but these are the major features that keeps these two mediums head to head. So now it all depends on you to decide which medium you want to use for your artwork, either charcoal or graphite. Personally, here is my take on these two mediums if you want to use any of them for art. If you're the kind of person that doesn't like reflections in your drawing, you need that complete dark black values, and if you want to see your artwork in every angle without reflection, then you'd want to go with charcoal pencil. But if you don't have any problem with regards to the reflection graphite pencil gives you and the depth graphite gives you, you might want to go with graphite. Graphite can be a lot easier to blend with. It's not really that messy, it does not stick to paper, so it is much easier to work with and it's beginner friendly. If I am to pick between these two mediums, I would definitely not choose one over the other. Reason being is that when these two are combined to create any artwork at all, the result is massive. Now personally, what I do as a mixed medium artist is that I use charcoal pencil for my darkest values, I use a graphite pencil for my lightest value. You will hardly see me using any graphite pencil ranging from 8B, because instead of using an 8B pencil to get that value I want, I use my charcoal pencil to get that dark value. And when it comes to those light values, I use my H pencil and my HB pencils to get those light values done. The only darkest graphite pencil I have is my 4B, which creates the transition between my charcoal pencil and graphite. My 4B pencil enables me to manipulate all the way to my HB value and down to the level where charcoal takes over without you noticing the difference between graphite and charcoal. I would really love to hear your own side of the story with regards to charcoal and graphite, which you think is the best. Should the two of them be used, or one should be picked over the other one? Drop your comments in the comment section which you think is the best when it comes to creating any monochrome artwork. Now if you really want to know how to use charcoal and graphite in your drawing, make sure to watch the videos that are going to pop up at the end of this tutorial. So now with all that said, I'm Blinks and this is Blinks Art. Here I give you tips, tricks and techniques to get your artworks done. If you're a graphic designer, pencil artist, you love painting, drawing, this channel is for you. So make sure to click the subscribe button, ring all the bells so you don't miss any of my tutorials when I release them. Till I see you next time, keep creating.